Hello, everyone. Today is Friday, March 4th, 2022. A dozen terrorists killed, 16 others arrested, several equipment seized or destroyed. This article is taken from Mali Act 2. The nuisance capacities of terrorist groups are increasingly put to the test in places in certain localities in the center, north, and south, that is, of Mali, as evidenced by the recent military maneuvers carried out from February 22nd to 28th within the framework of Operation Maliko, during which a dozen terrorists were put out of action. At least 16 others were arrested and handed over to the gendarmerie. The gendarmerie is like the military police, but they're, I think, more civilian than they are military. And just in case you don't know, it seems that the Nigerian military and government reports basically weekly how many insurgents it has killed or arrested and what equipment it has seized, etc. And so this is from the end, and it goes by about 6 days, every 6 days or every 7 days. This is 7 days, the last 7 days of February. These operations are part of the same offensive dynamic as the previous ones, targeting terrorist groups that are raging in several localities, prey to deadly incursions and other abuses. The FAMA staff, that's the federal, not necessarily in this order, but the federal army of Mali, which welcomed a certain lull in the sectors of Alatona, Neono, Bandigara, Bankaz, Mondoli, and Koro, nevertheless wanted to be very cautious because of the very high threat linked to improvised explosive devices, IED, and harassment of the population by terrorist groups, 2 to 4 people. According to the General Staff, the terrorist group, which avoid possible clashes with the FAMA, used 2 options: to withdraw towards the border areas or to be diluted in the population. However, during the last operations at the center of the country, that is, an army vehicle was targeted of an improvised explosive device, IED attack, and at least 8 terrorists were killed. 3 bases dismantled. 3 bases, I assume that they mean, well, camps or whatever, where the insurgents operate. Added to this are the destruction of 3 IEDs and the seizure of 2 AK-47s that they can use for their military, some 45 telephones, 3 detonators, 3 batteries for implementing IEDs. While in the north, specifically in the region of Timbuktu, 4 suspected terrorists were apprehended on February 27th in Niafunke. A logistician was even spotted among these attackers. I don't know what a logistician is. I'm sure it has a specific meaning in the African or Malian military lexicon, because the logistician, basically in American English, or even when I was in the military, it was basically having to do with transporting things, trucks and so forth, transporting goods from one place to another. But it's obviously an important job. So a logistician was even spotted among these attackers. They admitted during their hearings at the gendarmerie to have belonged to a terrorist group. It should be noted that during other operations carried out at the same time in the Kignan sector in Sikasso region, 5 other presumed terrorists were arrested and made available to the gendarmerie. Terrorists have already been put out of action during previous operations carried out from the end of December 2021 to the first half of February 2022. And I haven't heard of any deaths among the FAMA or Malian military for the last couple of months. I don't know if that's an oversight of mine, but I definitely heard from these reports, these seemingly weekly reports from the spokesperson or the agency that puts out information about military matters. I think it's called SIPA, maybe not SIRPA, something like that. It didn't mention in this article. It actually did, but I cut it out. These weekly reports that I've covered, and for over a month, I believe now, every week there are sometimes dozens of insurgents that are killed by the Malian military. And likewise, I haven't heard about any deaths among the civilian population or the military in the CAR. But I hear about insurgents being killed. And so, but also, it seems that in Mali, as it indicated in this article, that Mali is fairly peaceful. It seems to be relatively peaceful at this time, as well as CAR. You're not, as I said, you're not hearing about civilians being killed as you were before. And the thing that they both have in common is that they have Russian military advisors. Whereas in Nigeria, you still have insurgents killing dozens of people. In the DRC, you still have insurgents killing dozens of people. Neither of which has Russian military advisors. And then, of course, you have Somalia that has the same problem of Al-Shabaab successfully attacking civilians as well as the military. So it's just something to think about. Russia seems to be successful in regard to fighting the insurgencies in the parts of Africa that they are active in. But take nothing away from the Malian military, because in Mali, they're definitely, just from what we've reported and what we've learned recently, even though there were accusations of Russian civilian Wagner group, mercenaries, I guess you can call them, security experts, or it's a nicer term, I think, for them, security firm. Even though you've heard this claim from the West by an independent source and basically from the Malian government, Wagner group isn't there. They just have Russian military advisors. And so maybe this is the reason why you don't hear about Russians actually physically being involved in these successful operations. And this is all done from what I understand, by the Malian army. And after the Malian army, which is controlled right now by the junta, which plans to be in control for the next 5 years, which I welcome, although ECOWAS does not. Maybe after it is successful in stamping out this insurgency, it will be able to lend its services, and maybe at a fee. Hopefully, I mean, I'm not going to say hopefully not, but, like the Wagner group or whatever. But more than likely it will be able to offer its services to other African countries and show them how to be successful getting rid of insurgencies, like in Nigeria, like in DRC, like in Somalia. So a lot of potential from what I see. Hopefully things will remain the same. Um, uh, is currently in Mali when it comes to the army.